Well, welcome everyone. I am Wendi Blum Weiss, and this is Redefine Yourself During Times of Uncertainty. And I have the great privilege and honor to introduce our wonderful guest today, Dr. Shivani Gupta, who is an author, a speaker. She's written a book called The Conscious Pregnancy, and also has a master's degree and is also a doctor of Ayurvedic medicine. So welcome. So happy to have you here with us today, Dr. Gupta.
Thank you. Happy to be on your show with you.
Well, what's on everybody's mind these days is building the immune system. And I know that's been a passion of yours ever since you were a young girl. So can you share with us how you had that insight at such a young age?
Sure. So I grew up here in the West, in the US, and it was a great childhood I had. But it's interesting because my parents always wanted to go to India every year to visit their parents, their family, and to see everybody. And each year we'd go and they tried to take some precautions around what we ate and stuff. But inevitably, I would fall sick. And I slowly learned that it's my immune system. It's not everybody else's that was getting affected, it was mine. Anytime there was a cold, or anytime there was a GI bug, or anytime there was a food, everyone else ate it. But when I ate it, I would be bedridden for a week, and then everyone would have to deal with me. And so eventually I thought, okay, well, if I'm the one who's getting sick, maybe I need to find a solution. Because when they would give me medications, by the time I reached college, the level of antibiotics and medicine that they were throwing at me would make me worse. I would literally sit there and say, okay, well, why are we giving me 10 pills? What do they do? Can I treat that myself? Can I work with that naturally? And so it's an confluence of events that eventually led me to being really interested in Ayurveda. Because here I am in India, sick as a dog, unable to get out of bed, learning that India is all about yoga and Ayurveda. And so I slowly just started teaching it to myself all the way through. And eventually I figured out the right formulas for myself, whether it's herbs or lifestyle or all the things I have to do to stay really healthy and whole, because I got sick of being sick. And so my whole life has kind of led me to being immune system obsessed. And I maintain a certain lifestyle and health just so I don't fall sick. And then eventually, because I was so passionate, I went ahead and did that master's and PhD in Ayurveda just to like dive even deeper.
That's so interesting because sort of thinking about your immune system, you think about health, but to actually think specifically about the immune system. I know, having babies, and you're a mom and you have two children. How old are your children?
6 and 9.
Okay, 6 and 9. Mine are 30 and 31.
Wow. Okay.
And right out of the get-go, you're taking them to the pediatrician. And the most important thing as a mom is health and well-being. And so you're doing everything you can, whether you're breastfeeding or preparing your own food, or really starting to pay attention to food is thy medicine.
Right.
And the culture in India really, really teaches that, like they're rooted in that. How old is Ayurvedic medicine?
Ayurveda is a system of medicine that's 5,000 years old. And so most people haven't even heard of it. They don't realize it exists. What I explain to people is, look, you have homeopathy out of England and Europe. You have acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine, East Asia. But Ayurveda is another beautiful system, and it encompasses so much. It encompasses a lot of what we're kind of hearing about and starting to practice here in the West, but it encompasses detoxification, herbology, nutrition. Really, those ancient texts kind of covered everything when it comes to how to live a truly preventive lifestyle.
So that's it. So interesting. So let's just start with detoxification. So
Sure.
talk about detoxing the body. Do you have one or two ideas that you could share for someone who's listening to this, maybe being introduced to it for the first time, how they can implement part of, being part of detoxifying the system?
Sure. So if you go to like the root of the topic of detoxing, in Ayurveda, we teach a concept called ama. Ama means the toxins. So there's a lot of behavior that we can do all day long that causes more toxins in the body, and a lot of behaviors we can do that will reduce them. So it's both, right? We can detox, but if we're out there causing it all day, you're really accumulating more and more. So
So let me
yeah.
ask you about like what one of the main causes are then first.
Yeah, so one of the main causes you could say is how you eat and drink your food. Not what you eat and drink, but how you eat and drink. So for example, my little one keeps trying to drink ice water with her meal. I'm like, that's forbidden. You cannot do that in my home. Ayurveda teaches us that icy drinks turn off the digestive fire. And if that digestive fire is turned off, it doesn't matter what you eat, it's all going to ferment, be undigested in the system, and cause toxins. So that's an easy one. I will only have hot tea a little bit before a meal, and I generally avoid liquids within the 30 minutes before and after a meal. So that's a big one, an easy one to not accumulate toxins.
So you would recommend and encourage people to drink their water at room temperature?
Yes, always. Always drink water at room temperature, or you can sip warm or hot beverages all day, anytime. Avoid the meal time, so 3 times you eat a day, but generally don't drink ice water. It's a big recommendation out of Ayurveda.
Now, because so many people are, I'm going to kind of throw in something, out in left field, but because so many people are talking about intermittent fasting, what are your thoughts and beliefs around that?
So fasting has always been a big part of Ayurveda and the Indian culture. So we do fasting frequently, like once a week is what a lot of people do. Some people take like a 21-day period to do a big detox in Ayurveda. That's called Panchakarma. It means really approaching the body and detoxing on all levels from all systems. I think intermittent fasting is one of those things where much modern science saying it's so good for us for so many reasons. But I've also read that for women, sometimes it might not be good. So I'm still reading the science and trying to understand. But I do find that Ayurveda taught it inherently in its schedule. So in Ayurveda, we have a concept called circadian rhythm, the circadian clock. So when you that clock, it's taught that you should be done with dinner by about 7, go to sleep by 10, sleep through the night till about 5 or 6, start your morning meditations, your rituals during that magical morning time. It's so key to do it then. And you won't have breakfast until 7, 8, or probably 9 in there because of everything you're doing. So intermittent fasting of at least 12 hours was always built into the clock.
So that's so interesting. That is part of the philosophy. That's actually part of the foundation. For those that are listening right now that are home and they're home in isolation, food has been a big part of that. People are cooking more and more. What do you recommend as a very simple way to actually either delete something, take something away? Because, that's a big part of it, right? Taking something away. And then perhaps adding in, one ingredient.
Sure. Taking stuff away is something I do a lot, and I know people don't love doing that. I know that it's hard. One topic I do a lot is inflammation, because my whole PhD thesis was on turmeric. So I'm pretty obsessed with inflammation. And so really a big key is removing inflammatory foods. So even if you pick just one of them, the top 5 are sugar. So sugar, soda, if you can give up one of those things, or cut it down significantly. There's dairy. Dairy to many people is inflammatory, not everyone. So maybe cut that down. There's gluten, which for some people, gluten intolerance is very much a key factor in why they are inflamed. I know for me, gluten is the worst, but I only learned that over time. There's meat. So if you really look at these different inflammatory foods, dairy, meat, sugar, that, and alcohol. Alcohol is the 5th. So cutting any of those down, you don't have to give up all 5, but if you cut even one of those, you might dramatically reduce that inflammation in the system, thus supporting the body. And if you can add one simple thing, the only thing I've really added during this, I'm taking my supplements, which is a big deal to me, to take them all consistently for my immune system. But I also added in a simple one like ginger lemon tea. So I remember I stayed at an Ayurvedic retreat center in the Himalayas a long time ago. And every morning they came to our door with heated, fresh ginger lemon tea. because it ignites the digestive system. It starts peristalsis. The lemon alkalizes. So it's like a simple way to start your day, supporting your gut health, supporting that detoxing of the body.
So I love the simplicity because we're talking about building the immune system. So just not completely eliminating, just starting to cut back on one of the 5 key stressors for inflammation, and then just adding in just the ginger lemon tea. I think you can still get ginger, you can still get lemon, or make it yourself, slice it yourself, or actually buy a tea that is already made.
Sure, exactly. It's that easy. For me, I really stress that to try to seek perfection and take out all of the joy makes no sense to me. I am not 100% dairy free. I am not 100% Chardonnay or wine or alcohol free during this time. And I would hope that any of us who are in health and wellness could be that and say, hey, we don't need perfection, but what we need is just that intention to be healthier and to be better. That alone is great.
So this is an ideal time to actually create new habits, because here we are, whether it's 20 days or 30 days or 40 days or 60 days, and the new research is showing that to create a new habit is somewhere over 28 days, around 60 days, and we're actually getting opportunity to do that right now. One of the other concepts I find quite interesting that I'd like to ask you about is the doshas. Is that pronounced correctly? Doshas. It's a 3-tong system. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So doshas is a big concept out of Ayurveda. It basically means your mind-body constitution. So in Ayurveda, the goal is to have body, mind, and spirit aligned. If you sit down with an Ayurvedic practitioner, they're not just going to say, oh, your foot hurts, let me fix that foot. They'll say, okay, what's going on here? What's your lifestyle? How much do you move? How active do you want to become? How did it happen? What are you eating? There's a lot of factors to it. And one of those factors is your dosha. So this mind and body constitution is something that you're born with. You're born either a vata, a pitta, or a kapha. People pronounce it vata, pitta, and kapha here in the US. And out of those 3 doshas, you have a primary and you have a secondary. So you might have pitta at birth, but then over time, things happen in your life. And now when you take a dosha quiz, you come out being a kapha. And you're like, but I used that way, but right now I'm this way and I feel so off. So the goal is always understand where you're at, balance you here, and move you back towards your true nature. A lot of times people don't get it, but if you are in balance with your dosha, you're most supported basically to go downstream with life instead of fighting upstream and trying to go up the river. So the way I explain the doshas is if you're a vata type, and I have a dosha quiz on my website. You can go to shivanigupta.com and the quiz is there and you can take the quiz and you'll see which dosha you are. And then we can talk about how to balance the dosha.
I just want to mention, I'll put the link in the description of the video below.
Perfect. So vata, that type of person is typically thin, wiry. Their mind works really fast, almost tendency towards anxiety, but their mind is always moving. They're always in action. So a vata person is like always running around doing new things, creative, but they might not be finishing everything. They might have all these ideas going, but they can't complete things. There's a good and a bad to each dosha. There's a positive and a negative side. Then a pitta person is normally like a medium body person, but they're fiery, they're sharp. They are those people who are like quick-witted. Their negative tendencies, they tend towards anger or jealousy. They're more fiery, like they like spicy food and they always have like a lot of momentum. So they're typically that entrepreneur who's like, go, blinders on, go. And a pitta person needs to do a lot to stay cool. So summers in Florida, for example, can overheat you and you really have to cool that pitta person down based on external and internal environmental stuff. And then a kapha person, and these are like big generalities, like there's a lot specific to the doshas. But a kapha person is typically like a sturdier person. They're of the earth. They might be a little bigger boned, a little heavier, but they're a very loyal person. Like they do everything they can for the people they love. They're a little bit more slow moving. They're not going to like think fast, act fast. They are like, I am one at a time. I move forward one at a time. So they're typically the nurturers. And that person might have a hard time being a quick starter and moving. But if you understand your nature, then you know how to get yourself moving in the morning, do your work, and then that kapha person's going to sit down and then they're not going to move again. So typically when I work with people, I'm like, understand your dosha, love yourself for who you are, and don't fight yourself trying to be something that you're not. You have to naturally be what you are. And I was really concerned going into this time period of our lives, if we did all start social distancing and isolating, what would happen to the doshas? Because you're going to have a vata mind, but you're going to have a kapha body, and you're going to get heavier and we're going to get slower and we're not going to want to move. And so it's fascinating to watch what's happening, because everything I thought of is coming true. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, how do I show people how to balance that?
That's interesting that that's changing a bit right now.
Yeah.
And just to have awareness of who you are, what your general makeup is, and then you can recommend foods.
Yeah, you can recommend foods,
balance,
lifestyle, schedule, yoga. There's yoga customized to the dosha. There's so many things you can customize, and then your whole life is more balanced because you're actually supporting your existing dosha instead of fighting it.
It makes so much sense, because there's so much that is innate inside of us, and it does feel as though you are fighting up against, like you're pushing up against something, and that helps you to find what that something is. So a combination of building your immune system right now, think about detoxifying the body, adding in just a few elements and bringing the awareness to them, and knowing what your doshas are can really help you right now through this time when we're going through extra stressors and uncertainty. And it gives that we have some time to review this.
Yeah, we have some time to really invest in our own health. Like right now, it's a great time to support the immune system, because it's the immune system that's going to have to really push through what's about to come, right? If we all start going out and about, I really want to know that I've done my absolute level best. And so I look at the immune system like a 6-point system. What am I doing in all the different pies to support it? And as long as I'm doing that, then I've done my best. I'm going to experience this virus or anything else however I am meant to. But at least I walked in with everything clear, the channels clear, my lymphatic system clear, my inflammation reduced, all the different pieces that come together to give us the most boosted immune system possible.
Well, that's so inspiring. Do you have, thank you so much for being here. Do you have some parting words of wisdom or a quote that you'd like to leave us with?
Sure. I think that we have so many natural solutions right now that can really help us support our bodies, our health, our mental health, whether it's the different herbs from Ayurveda like turmeric and ginger that can do so much for us, whether it's just moving and getting outside in nature and allowing that to be our medicine. So I just encourage everyone to take care of their health every day, one self-care act a day, because self-care really matters.
I agree with you on that. Thank you so much for being here. You have a YouTube channel, so I'm going to encourage our listeners and viewers to subscribe to your channel. You're a wealth of information, and to take the Dasha quiz, and we'd love to have you on again. Thank you so much. Awesome. Be safe and be well, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Gupta.
Thank you.